Central banks own gold is to stay in power, because whoever holds the gold holds their purchasing power, and therefore in this transition will remain in power and fiscally influential. And that's exactly the same reason why everybody needs to own gold. And, you also have to look at what was happening, which was Y2K. And interestingly enough, as scary as a lot of people took that to be, what you saw was the spot market manipulated down. So, when I, technically, I had gotten about maybe 4 or 5 different confirmations that we were entering the final phase of this currency's life cycle. And I came to ITM, it was actually June 28th of 2002. So that, and then the final confirmation of where we were in that trend cycle came in October. I think it was October 9th, but I could be off a few days of 2002. So when you ask me that question, since I'm looking at patterns and cycles, what I saw then, yes, we're much worse off because we are that was the beginning of the end of the fiat money experiment. And now we are at the end of the fiat money experiment. And, you're talking about all the massive amount of new debt that's been put into the system, not just over the last 20 years, but look at it over the last year and a half. It was just a big excuse to really flood the system with new money. And honestly, what you're looking at is every time a central banker prints new money, the money that's already out in circulation loses a lot of value. So even when you're looking at those returns, since that's gauged by the spot market, which is a contract on gold and a contract on silver, easily created, easily manipulated, the reality is those spot markets do not reflect the true fundamental value of an ounce of gold or an ounce of silver. If it was in a true supply-demand market with central bankers accumulating gold, especially, actually, I could be off on this because obviously I don't have the graph in front of me, but central bankers stopped selling and leasing gold in I think it was 2006. So before the great financial crisis, there was already a shift in central bank sentiment and buying and they don't buy the contracts, they buy the physical metals. So, I mean, if we were in a truly free market, then you would likely see gold somewhere in the vicinity of 50,000 an ounce and silver somewhere in the vicinity of 600 or so an ounce. And so I could tell you this, I am not converting my gold. And I bought, I remember buying silver at $4.38 for one of these little peace dollars, right? Now I think I don't really work in that area anymore. I keep buying, but I don't really pay attention to the fiat price because I don't care. This is my insurance and I know it's severely undervalued. So even if I'm spending, $35 on that now, or even $55, it's still severely undervalued. And that's the only kind of risk that I really see when we put wow, it's done this much every year. What are you going to do? Convert it into, paper that is really worthless? You hold your hand on a spring and you can keep that spring down, but at some point it either builds up enough friction that it pushes your hand away.
Yeah.
Or I think in government's case, when they need to reset everything, then they remove that hand. And that's why when I was saying going up, 3,500% or more, we have recent examples of that happening.
Yeah.
A suppression, and then boom, 3,500, 7,000%, but what that also means, and what, you're talking about, how much has that currency gone down in purchasing power value? That's really what gold is reflecting, even as they've been suppressing it. Let me just add to that a little bit, because gold is used in every single segment of the economy. So 100% of the time you have demand. If an economy is slower, you'll have a little less demand. If it's heated up, you'll have a little more demand. I believe that the reason why central banks own gold is to stay in power, because whoever holds the gold holds their purchasing power, and therefore in this transition will remain in power and fiscally influential. And that's exactly the same reason why everybody needs to own gold.
Yes.
And become their own central bank. I mean, I'm definitely my own central bank, because I want to remain free. I want to remain in control of my life. And if everything that you hold is inside of a system that's easily monitored and easily stolen from you, even right in front of your face. I mean, when the stock market, if you own a whole bunch of stocks and the stock market drops, so too bad, so sad. What are you going to do about it, right? But when you look at what the Bank for International Settlements, in their report that they did, it was either 2019 or 2020. I can't remember which right off the top of my head, but they looked at gold's role inside of the foreign exchange and currency markets. And I don't remember all the conclusions off the top of my head, but there were a few that I really liked a lot. And one was that gold is the only financial asset, these are their words, the only financial asset that runs no counterparty risk. And another one of my very good favorites is that gold held at home runs no political risk. And if we allow the powers that be, then what we have is the World Economic Forum. You own nothing and you will be happy. Well, you may own nothing, but I'm pretty sure, ask people that own nothing right now, and I'm pretty sure they're not real happy.
No.
I really, the key is everybody has to have a plan going into this. And that I see so many people still procrastinating. And if they are stop procrastinating. You need gold and silver, but you also need food, water, energy, security, barterability, which certainly can be gold and silver, but can also be anything physical or any talents that you possess. And you need community, which we've got a big global community. That's why I'm here today, and it's great that we can do this, because we really need to come together to help each other.